You've been doing it again, day after day, thought after thought. You see the vision so clearly it almost feels real. That dream life, the one you crave so deeply, plays like a movie in your mind. You can taste the freedom. You can feel the love. You can see the abundance waiting just on the other side of your current reality. You've been told this is the path. Picture it. Hold the image. Stay positive. And yet, nothing moves. Maybe a little progress. A tiny confirmation, a moment of alignment, and then silence. Back to the same routine. Back to wondering why nothing's landing. Back to thinking maybe you're not doing it right. But the truth, the real reason the dream hasn't landed yet, it's not because you don't want it enough. It's not because you're not spiritual enough. It's not because you haven't scripted enough affirmations or meditated with enough candles. The reason is much simpler and also far more powerful. Your signal hasn't changed. You're still broadcasting the energy of waiting, wanting, reaching. And the quantum field doesn't deliver what you want. It mirrors what you are.
Most people stay trapped in this cycle because they've been conditioned to chase, to seek, to strive. You've been trained to think that life is something you earn by grinding, by proving, by wishing a little harder each day. But energy doesn't work that way. You can't out-effort a frequency mismatch. Wanting something intensely doesn't magnetize it. It actually confirms its absence. Wanting says, it's not here yet. And that's the message your energy keeps sending. The universe, ever faithful, simply reflects that state back to you. It's not personal, it's not punishment, it's precision. Pure energetic precision. And here's the hardest pill to swallow. The more you want it, the more you push it away. Because wanting comes from lack. It carries the vibration of separation. And the field does not close separation with gifts, it closes it with alignment. That means the version of you who gets the thing you want, the partner, the wealth, the peace, doesn't just want differently, they exist differently. Their very presence speaks the language of already mine. Their body, their thoughts, their breath all say, I am it. And that's where the shift begins, not with action, but with identity. The key isn't doing more, it's becoming the one who no longer waits. And yes, that requires something radical. It requires you to live from a place your current world doesn't reflect yet. It asks you to trust before there's proof, to walk like it's already done, and to let go of the story that says your dream is far away. But most people won't do this, because they're waiting for a sign, a breakthrough, a perfect moment. What they don't see is that every time they delay their embodiment, they delay the very reality they're calling in. And you, if you're still listening right now, it means something in you is done waiting, done hoping, done begging the field to respond to a version of you that doesn't actually believe. You're not here to want harder. You're here to broadcast louder, to shift out of desire and into declaration, to realize that the version of you who has the life you crave is not somewhere in the future. It's a frequency, one that already exists, and you're one decision away from stepping into it. Now let's be honest, you've probably tried everything. Vision boards covered in perfect houses and luxury trips, journals filled with affirmations, meditation playlists designed to raise your vibration, maybe even 5 a.m. routines and gratitude challenges. And yet, something still feels stuck, like you're doing all the right things but getting none of the right results. And this is where the confusion sets in, because you feel like you're on the path. But deep down, something's off. Something's not clicking. Here's the truth no one told you. Visualization isn't the mechanism that unlocks your dream life. It's only a map, a spark, a whisper. The quantum field doesn't respond to how vividly you see it. It responds to how fully you embody it. That future you keep visualizing, it already exists in the field of infinite potential. But the only way you can actually access it is by broadcasting the exact frequency that matches it. Think of the field like a tuning fork. It doesn't respond to begging. It doesn't recognize wishing. It aligns when your energy becomes coherent. When your internal state stops contradicting your imagined future. Visualization helps you see the destination, but frequency is what gets you there. And that's why most people get stuck. They're trying to drive to a new reality while tuned to the radio station of their old one. They're speaking about abundance while fearing the bills. They're picturing love while carrying resentment. They're dreaming about freedom while vibrating in scarcity. The result, a scrambled signal, mixed messages, static. And the quantum field reflects that noise right back. Not because it's cruel, but because it's exact. So how do you make the shift? You start by realizing that the field doesn't care about your vision board. It cares about your coherence. It mirrors your consistency. If you say you're abundant but you flinch every time you check your bank account, your field believes the flinch, not the words. If you script about soulmates but shrink when someone gets close, your field picks up on the retreat, not the script. This is not a punishment. It's precision, energetic feedback that's always accurate. And it leads to the most liberating truth of all. You don't need to work harder to manifest. You need to feel safer in the version of you who already has it. That's what frequency alignment really is. It's not about doing more. It's about subtracting the resistance, clearing the interference. It's about syncing your inner world so clearly with the version of you who already lives the life you dream of. That reality has no choice but to follow. Because once your body, your mind, and your field say the same thing, the field stops testing you and starts reflecting you. This is the shift you've been waiting for. And it doesn't come from seeing the future more clearly. It comes from becoming it. The most powerful force in the universe isn't your desire, it's your signal. Most people don't realize this because we've been raised to believe that life listens to words. That if we say the right affirmation, repeat it enough times, script it in a journal, and meditate on it long enough, eventually the universe will hear us and respond. But that's not how it works. The quantum field doesn't understand language. It doesn't care how beautiful your vision board looks or how often you talk about your goals. It responds to one thing and one thing only: frequency. The vibration you emit in every moment, not when you're visualizing or scripting, but when you're just being, is the signal that gets mirrored back. And if your frequency doesn't match your desire, no amount of positive thinking will override that dissonance. The universe doesn't speak English. It speaks alignment. That's why two people can want the exact same thing. One gets it with ease, the other keeps chasing. Because one is vibrating in coherence, while the other is vibrating in contradiction. You can't fool the field. You can't affirm your way into a life your body doesn't feel safe to receive. And here's the part most people miss. Your frequency isn't built in the moments when you're trying to manifest. It's built in the spaces between. It's in how you walk into a room, how you breathe when no one's watching, how you respond to discomfort, how you talk to yourself when things go silent. That's the real broadcast. That's what the field hears. It doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to who you are when you're not trying to be anything. This is why so many people feel stuck even when they're doing all the right things. They've been trying to manifest from the neck up, visualizing, thinking, planning, hoping. But the body is still locked in survival, still vibrating in lack, still stuck in old memories, old patterns, old fears. And the result is static, misalignment, mixed signals. You can't attract abundance if your nervous system still tenses every time a bill arrives. You can't call in love if your subconscious still believes intimacy isn't safe. You can't embody peace while secretly rehearsing every possible worst-case scenario in your mind. The field doesn't measure your intentions. It mirrors your energy. And that energy is a full-body transmission. Thoughts, yes, but also emotions, behavior, posture, voice tone, belief. When all of that lines up, when your entire being says the same thing, the field doesn't hesitate. It reflects you back with stunning accuracy. The reason this is such a breakthrough is because it puts the power exactly where it belongs, in your identity. Not in effort, not in forcing, but in becoming. This is the shift from trying to get to allowing what is already aligned. And here's how you begin making that shift. You stop treating your dream as something that's far away, and you start tuning your energy to the version of you who already lives it. Because in the quantum field, time doesn't separate realities. Frequency does. The version of you who already lives the life you're craving, they already exist. And your job is not to chase them. Your job is to match them. Everything you've been wanting isn't waiting on a better plan. It's waiting on a better signal. And that signal doesn't come from hustling harder or visualizing longer. It comes from choosing to embody the identity that lives in the frequency of already here. That's how you collapse timelines. That's how you pull the future into the now, not through external action, but through internal coherence. The moment your body and mind stop contradicting your vision, the shift begins. And at first it might feel strange. Your old identity will resist. It will try to convince you to stay in the comfort of what's familiar, even if familiar means unfulfilled. But if you can hold the new signal long enough, if you can breathe into the energy of already mine, even while the world hasn't caught up yet, that's when the magic happens. That's when the field starts reflecting a new version of reality. Not because you begged for it, but because you became the one who naturally attracts it. Now let's go deeper. Because this next realization is where everything changes. You're not chasing the dream. You're tuning into it. This is not poetic language, it's physics. In the quantum field, all possibilities already exist. There isn't one future, you're swimming in a sea of them. And the one you experience is the one that matches your frequency. You don't climb to success. You don't chase love. You don't reach financial freedom. You tune into the version of you who already has those things, and the world around you begins to shift in response. Not because you manipulated it, but because you moved into alignment with it. It's just like tuning a radio. You don't create the station. You don't build it from scratch. It's already broadcasting. You just weren't on the right dial to hear it. And your frequency, your emotional baseline, your subconscious beliefs, your nervous system state, that's your dial. When you feel stuck, it's not because the life you want doesn't exist. It's because you're tuned to a station that plays something else. Maybe a station of waiting, or proving, or not yet. And every time you say, I want, you're unknowingly reinforcing the gap. Because wanting implies lack. It says, I don't have it. But the version of you who already lives your dream, they're not wanting, they're being. They're breathing in certainty. They're moving from knowing. They're choosing from alignment. This is where embodiment begins. When you stop imagining yourself in the future and start anchoring into the frequency of now. Not a version of now filled with scarcity or delay, but a now that reflects the identity of the one who already has it. And no, this isn't about pretending. This isn't about putting on a mask and hoping the universe is fooled. It's about shifting your center of gravity from lack to abundance, from hope to being, from desire to decision. You decide to be her, to be him, to be them, the one who lives that life. And then you begin to walk like them, speak like them, trust like them. You stop living from the timeline of waiting and you enter the frequency of arrival. And the beauty of this work is that you don't need to change the world to change your life. You only need to change your signal. One breath at a time, one thought at a time, one choice at a time. And if you stay with it, if you keep choosing to vibrate from the identity that already holds the reality you're calling in, then slowly, then suddenly, your world begins to look like the one you've been visualizing all along. Not because it was given to you, but because it was always there, waiting for you to become the version of yourself who could hold it. You might be wondering what embodiment actually looks like, not as a concept, not as a nice-sounding idea, but as a lived reality. What does it feel like to embody the frequency of the version of you who already has the thing? Here's the truth. Embodiment is subtle. It's not dramatic. It's not performative. It's not about faking success or pretending to be confident or posting pictures that look like your dream life while feeling completely out of alignment inside. Embodiment is quiet. It's grounded. It's the moment you stop chasing outcomes and begin living from the identity that no longer questions if it's possible. It's when you shift from when will it happen to it is happening, because I am already it. Most people misunderstand embodiment because they confuse it with acting. Acting feels like performance. It's exhausting. Embodiment, on the other hand, is energizing. It doesn't drain you, it stabilizes you. It's not about appearing to have something, it's about carrying the frequency that makes that thing a natural match. When you embody abundance, you don't talk about how rich you're going to be. You stop fearing bills. You stop contracting at the idea of investing in yourself. You stop questioning whether you deserve more. You start walking into spaces like someone who adds value just by being. You speak like someone who trusts their intuition. You breathe slower. You move with presence. Not because you're trying to be noticed, but because you've stopped apologizing for taking up space. This is what most people never teach you. Embodiment isn't what you do when the spotlight is on. It's who you are when no one is watching. It's how you speak to yourself in silence, how you react when something goes wrong, how you treat your body, how you treat time, how you handle moments of uncertainty. Do you collapse back into old patterns, or do you remain anchored in your chosen identity? Because every one of those micro moments is sending a signal to the field, and the field is always listening, not to your words, but to your energy. And here's something even deeper. Embodiment isn't just about thoughts or feelings, it's about safety. Your body must feel safe holding the frequency of the reality you want. If it doesn't, you will unconsciously reject the very thing you've been asking for. That's why some people finally get the opportunity, the relationship, the money, and sabotage it. It's not because they're weak or broken, it's because their nervous system was never taught how to receive. Embodiment teaches your system that the new timeline is not a threat, it's home. That's why real change never starts in the mind. It starts in the body, the breath, the tone, the posture, the decisions that signal, I am no longer available for lack. When you embody that consistently, your entire external world begins to reflect it. And this leads us to the next layer, the hidden key that unlocks everything: coherence. Without coherence, manifestation becomes wishful thinking. It becomes random, inconsistent, frustrating. But with coherence, everything begins to flow. Not because you're lucky, but because your signal has become stable enough to call in your reality without resistance. So what is coherence? It's the state of alignment between your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. It's when your head, your heart, and your body are broadcasting the same message. No contradiction, no inner war, no second guessing. Just one clean, consistent signal. Most people are trying to manifest while living in internal chaos. They think abundance but feel fear. They speak love but carry resentment. They ask for expansion but act from contraction. That split, that friction, is what the quantum field picks up on. It's not punishing you, it's reflecting you. Every time your words say one thing but your energy says another, you dilute your signal. And a diluted signal creates fragmented results. This is why manifestation feels like a roller coaster, because your signal keeps shifting. One day you're clear and confident. The next, you spiral back into doubt. The field responds to that inconsistency, not to punish you, to mirror you. And when you realize that, you stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for external signs. You begin taking responsibility for the only thing that truly creates change, your frequency. Now imagine this. Imagine waking up and your thoughts are clear. Your body feels grounded. Your choices align with your values. Your words match your truth. You no longer say, I trust, while vibrating in panic. You no longer say, I'm ready, while second-guessing every move. You become congruent. And that congruence creates magnetism, not temporary attraction, sustained embodiment. People feel it when you walk into a room. Opportunities start showing up without explanation. Synchronicities increase, not because you forced anything, but because you finally stopped leaking energy into contradictions. That's coherence. That's what makes your field powerful. And you don't get there by perfecting yourself. You get there by choosing, again and again. Every time doubt creeps in, you choose alignment. Every time the old story knocks, you choose your new identity. Every time the world doesn't mirror your new reality yet, you choose to hold the frequency anyway. Because coherence isn't about living in a bubble where nothing goes wrong. It's about becoming so rooted in your signal that nothing can pull you out of it. That's when you become magnetic. That's when the field bends towards you. Not because you pushed, but because you finally aligned so fully, so consistently, that the outer world had no choice but to reflect your inner truth. And if you can feel even a glimpse of that truth right now, hold on to it. Let it deepen. Let it settle in your breath, in your spine, in your decisions. Because once you stabilize coherence, once you stop leaking energy into the past and start living from the identity that already has what you've been calling in, the game changes. You stop chasing, you start receiving. Not as a reward, but as a reflection of the frequency you've finally chosen to live in. There's something most people overlook on their manifestation journey. It's not how often you visualize. It's not how perfectly you script. It's not even how much you believe in your goals. What truly shapes your reality is your identity. Not the one you tell people about, not the one you post online, but the invisible identity you operate from when you're alone, when you're under pressure, when you're unsure, when you're making everyday choices. That identity, the one behind your signal, is either expanding your future or anchoring you to your past. Because in the quantum field, outcomes don't respond to wishes, they respond to who you are being in each moment. Your identity is your most powerful transmission, and it's been guiding your life whether you're conscious of it or not. Think about it. If you hold a vision of abundance but still act from scarcity, your field is receiving scarcity. If you desire deep love but carry the belief that you're too much or not enough, your field responds to that belief. If you dream of success but still doubt your own voice, the energy you send out is laced with hesitation, and the field, being precise and unbothered by your intention, reflects hesitation right back. This is not judgment, it's coherence. The universe isn't picking favorites, it's responding to frequency. It's reading the vibration underneath the words, the posture beneath the performance, the truth beneath the mask. You don't attract what you talk about, you attract what you embody. And embodiment begins with identity. So ask yourself, honestly, who have you been being? Not what do you want, not what's on your vision board, but what energy do you carry into the room, into your relationships, into your decisions? Because if your goals are pointing one way, but your identity is rooted in another, you're sending mixed signals. You're visualizing a future that the current you hasn't yet become a match for, and no amount of action can override that vibrational misalignment. This is why most manifestation advice feels hollow, because it focuses on doing when the true shift happens in being. But here's the liberation. Identity is not fixed. You can change it. You can choose a new one, not by faking it, but by remembering the version of you who already exists in the timeline you're calling in. That version of you is not imaginary. It's just unfamiliar. It's the version of you who no longer flinches when opportunity knocks. The one who trusts their value. The one who moves through the world with quiet certainty. They exist right now in the field of infinite potential. And you don't have to earn your way to them. You simply have to align. This is where everything changes. When you stop trying to become and start being. When you stop waiting for permission and start walking in the frequency of already mine. When you stop asking the world to confirm your worth and start choosing to embody the version of you who never questioned it. It's not a performance, it's a remembrance. You're not building yourself from scratch. You're peeling away the noise, the fear, the conditioning until only your true signal remains. And when that signal stabilizes, the field responds. Not slowly, not randomly, but immediately. Because in the quantum world, coherence collapses time. The moment your identity aligns with your vision, your reality begins to catch up. And this brings us to one of the most subtle yet transformative truths about manifestation. Wanting and having are not just separated by time, they're separated by frequency. Wanting keeps the dream at a distance. Having pulls it into now. So what happens when you shift from wanting to having? Everything. The energy of wanting says, it's not here yet. It creates a gap. It keeps you in pursuit. But the energy of having says, it's done. It closes the gap. It grounds you in the timeline where your desire has already been realized. And this doesn't mean you have to see the physical proof right away. It means you start choosing, acting, breathing like someone who no longer waits for it to arrive. This is not pretending, this is energetic truth-telling. You are stepping into alignment with a future that already exists, and your job is to behave like someone who belongs there, not to impress the universe, not to trick yourself, but to signal coherence. Because the moment you stop needing your reality to change in order to feel aligned, your alignment begins changing your reality. That's how the quantum shift happens, quietly, subtly, powerfully, through choice. So what does that choice look like? It looks like making decisions from abundance, even when your bank account hasn't caught up. It looks like receiving compliments without deflecting. It looks like standing taller when no one's applauding. It looks like trusting your vision even when there's no external validation. It looks like holding the frequency of already mine even when doubt whispers otherwise. These are the invisible shifts that build a magnetic field around you. A field that draws in not just what you want, but what you've become. And this is where most people miss the power of identity work. They think it's something you do once. But the truth is, it's a practice. You return to it daily, you recalibrate, you check in. Am I thinking from the old story or the new self? Am I reacting from fear or from embodiment? Am I choosing from lack or from alignment? Every time you pause and realign, you're strengthening your signal. You're becoming the version of you who lives your vision not as a hope, but as a baseline. And over time, the gap between your inner state and your outer world shrinks. Not because you hustled harder, but because you finally remembered who you are and chose to live from there. The shift from wanting to having doesn't require a miracle. It requires a decision. A steady, grounded, often quiet decision to stop identifying with the version of you that's still waiting, and to start breathing from the version of you who already arrived. You're not reaching anymore. You're remembering. You're not seeking proof. You're becoming it. And once your identity matches your future, your reality has no choice but to follow. Because that's not just how energy works. That's how you work when you finally stop performing and start embodying the truth your soul has always known. You've probably had those strange moments, those little glitches in the matrix. You're thinking of something random, and suddenly you see it appear 3 times in one day. You're walking through your routine and you glance at the clock. It's 11:11 again. A friend brings up a conversation topic you were just journaling about. A number follows you. A message echoes something you whispered only to yourself, and deep down, something stirs. Not panic, not shock, but recognition. A soft, intuitive nudge that says, you're in it now, not the fantasy, not the hope, but the timeline, the signal, the frequency. These signs, these subtle synchronicities, aren't just coincidences. They're reflections, mirrors, confirmation that your field is no longer emitting noise but coherence. They're not telling you that your manifestation is coming. They're showing you that you've become the version of you who can hold it. Most people miss this because they're waiting for fireworks. They want loud miracles. They want reality to crack open and pour their dream into their hands like a movie climax. But energy doesn't always arrive in neon lights. Often it arrives in whispers, in nuance, in alignment so soft and seamless it almost feels like nothing happened, until you realize your nervous system isn't panicking like it used to. Your decisions aren't anxious like they once were. Your reactions are quieter, calmer, more rooted. That's the field adjusting. That's what it looks like when your reality begins to shift from the inside out. And if you don't catch those moments, if you don't recognize them as evidence, you might overlook the exact confirmation you asked the universe for. Because the quantum field doesn't send gifts to those who wait with doubt. It mirrors the ones who've already become the answer. So what are the real signs that you've shifted? You stop asking when. You start acting as. You stop grasping for validation. You begin walking in trust. You notice your own internal feedback more than the external evidence. You feel lighter, not because life is perfect, but because you're no longer outsourcing your alignment to your circumstances. And when something challenges you, because life will, you don't collapse. You recalibrate. You breathe. You return to your signal. And that's the true power, not manifesting one outcome, but stabilizing a state of being that makes the outcome inevitable. Because when your baseline becomes the frequency of already having, reality molds around it, not as a one-time miracle, but as a natural consequence. And here's where we touch the deepest truth of all. You're not waiting for anything anymore. You've already arrived. The person who used to chase, doubt, beg, analyze, question, that version of you is dissolving. Not because you fixed yourself, not because you changed everything overnight, but because you finally remembered the frequency that was always inside you. You stopped identifying with the one who lacks and started breathing like the one who lives. You began walking as if it was already yours. Not to fake it, but to align with the version of you who doesn't need to fake it. And from that place, something beautiful happens. Life begins to reflect back more of what matches your new identity. People respond differently. Opportunities flow in more naturally. Timing becomes effortless, not because you're manipulating reality, but because you've become a magnet for it. And the longer you hold that signal, the more your environment catches up. Not instantly, not with glitter and noise, but with momentum, with flow, with elegant precision. Suddenly, the opportunities that used to feel like they were just out of reach begin circling closer. The people you thought you'd have to impress begin showing up organically. The life you once visualized begins unfolding in real time, in subtle details and grounded experiences. You're not imagining anymore, you're living it. Because you've finally become the person who belongs to that frequency. And if there's one thing that seals this shift, one state of being that replaces all the affirmations and strategies and desperate effort, it's peace. Not passivity, not resignation, but peace. The kind of inner calm that comes from no longer chasing. The kind of ease that comes from knowing you are already where you used to long for. It's the absence of inner war, the release of tension, the moment when your nervous system, your mind, your breath and your choices all say the same thing. This is who I am now. You don't just manifest from this place, you create from it, you lead from it, you live from it, and your world responds in kind. So if you're still waiting for the big shift, stop waiting. Breathe into the truth that it's already underway. The signs are already here, the evidence is already rising, the signal is already active. And the more you stabilize in that energy, not as something you do once, but as something you return to again and again, the more life will bend, not toward what you want, but toward what you are, because that's the quantum truth. You're not here to get the life, you're here to be the signal, and once you are, you'll never need to chase again.